Fragments of Silicon, equally good in all weather.
All right. Welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. Fully featured this week, given that we don't have the other show to worry about until November. But be that as it may, I am your host, Adam. Joining me as always are my good friends, Petty and Gollix. And
Hooray.
let us get to the personal news, such as it is. Right over to you, Petty, with your latest installment of iWatch.
So, my eye seems to be doing all right. So, that's, better than we were, 3 weeks ago?
I mean, we've got game footage and we can, play games again.
Yeah.
So, that's a definite improvement.
Yeah. And my mom seems to finally be getting to the end of her personal injury thing with her former employer. Apparently, they're going to be, after the lawyer gets his cut, she's getting about 90 grand. Though a lot of that, and I think 60 of that is for continued medical coverage. So that's cool. She can pay off some of her debts and, pay off what she owes me and my sister. She wants to look into getting a pool just because, have a pool, professionally installed compared to what we did before a couple summers ago. That way she can do, water therapy, and it'll also help for my sister and I as well because, physical disabilities suck.
I guess that's a practical reason for it.
I mean, but you live on a hill, don't you?
It's weird. A house is built into a hill. We have a flat part for the backyard, and then it goes into another hill. So as long as we get an above ground pool, we're fine.
Plus, when they make those, they usually either dig them in or build up a thing around them anyway.
Yeah, theoretically, all they need to do is flatten out that part of the yard, which it's mostly flat. It's just not, flat, if you get what I mean.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, it's a little lumpy. And then as far as what I'm going to do with, the stuff I get paid back, I'm going to see about getting a new graphics card because I'm going to need one for the Final Fantasy XIV's next expansion because they're doing a graphics overhaul, finally. And then after that, I'm not really sure. So I guess we'll see. I guess it also depends, what graphics card I end up getting.
Well, you told us that you're thinking of getting a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox One X.
Yeah, that's on the list too, but that was before I was, sure my mom's going to pay me back anytime soon because this development just happened earlier this week.
Fair enough.
So that is kind of nice. And then it's also going to be nice that, with debts and stuff paid off, and mom's going to pay off her car and stuff, so we'll have more, money to do things and stuff and whatnot. And Luna seems to be doing better. We took her to the vet Monday, and they said they drained her lump, and it's it seems to be an infection, and they gave us a different antibiotic, and they want us to come back next week, but it really depends because I have 3 doctor's appointments next week, so that might have to wait till the week after, or like Monday if we find the lump is shrunken to the point where it's not really there anymore. I may just have my sister call the office and be like, do we need to come back? The lump's gone. Kind of thing. Since we've already had tested and it's not cancerous, I don't see if the lump's gone, why would we need to come back type of thing.
That's what I did last year.
And yeah, seems to be it on my end. At least that I can think of offhand.
All right. Well, Alex, it's your go.
Unless he muted himself.
Yes, look, you can't have definitely no sound coming from me and also me not being muted.
That's why I mentioned something before we had 2 minutes of dead air.
Yeah.
Anyway, we finally actually moved into the new office this week. It's been a little bit frustratingly loud because I'm right in the mailroom, and there's been a lot of moving stuff into the cabinets and stuff in the mailroom that is loud while I'm trying to focus, and basically there's no way to try to do something about that doesn't make it work. Being quiet just makes me focus more attention on it, or makes it. I get the feeling like when someone opens a drawer and is messing around with the stuff in it, that just every movement is like another shoe that I'm waiting for the other one of to drop. But enough about my mental problems. The location is nice, and I haven't been having any trouble with the parking because we have to get out promptly, apparently, because of basically if we stay in past the appointed business hours or whatever, they charge the car for like a full day or something.
Yeah, stuff like that's kind of dumb, but I guess to each their own.
I mean, there is other paid parking available nearby that I can use if I have to stay late, but I've also been told, at least for this week, to not stay late and see how it goes. So, anyway, so that's how that's been.
Anyway,
video game wise, pretty much still just playing Pokemon and a bit of Splatoon 3, I think.
Oh, right, yeah.
What?
I was just reminded of Sonic Frontiers in my internal screaming, but that's something we can get to.
Oh yeah, I might be playing that if I had it, but I don't have it or anything to play it on really aside from my computer.
Screw the Kaizo bullshit. That's the Final Horizons update.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, I've been watching the D-pad play it, and they're still in the videos are still in the Amy Rose segment, and Rick has a long history of not always picking up what the game is putting down in terms of guidance, but it does seem a bit more like not clearly indicated what you're supposed to do.
It's not even
and
that.
I have seen some battle things where the enemies are like pardon the metaphor, but acting like they're on crack.
The enemies are designed around fully powered Sonic. And then, as far as just overall difficulty, they took the criticism of Frontiers being too easy and went the other way entirely and made it Kaizo hard.
But that said, there was the Starfall Plus that can give you like 60 levels in all stats in one go. So.
Right. Anyway.
But yes, I know what you... Anyway, I think that's... Sorry, it was your turn anyway, wasn't it? No, wait, it was my turn still.
I just
but you
in. Yeah, that was... Never mind.
Well, I don't have much else to say anyway, so...
All right. So I guess that means it's my go. Like, not so much anything happening with me, but more family. Just, let's see, either exasperating family drama with my brother, who I think I've mentioned is getting a divorce.
Yes.
So, he brought that acrimony around a few days ago. That was because he's trying to do something with his car. He was unable to do it. I won't elaborate further.
Moderate concern.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Especially since I know he listens to this. And also, my mother is sick with some sort of upper respiratory infection. Not exactly sure what that is yet. Um, in fact, the other day I had to help her down to the X-ray imaging center in order to get an X-ray. And I asked if it was an X-ray or like an MRI. It's an X-ray. Apparently, she's going to get updated on that tomorrow. Because she's apparently had this sickness for about a month now, and it's kind of concerning when I talk to her because sometimes she gets into coughing fits, especially when she gets excited, which has not been helped by the other drama that I previously mentioned. Divorces equals excitability. So, she mentioned the other day that she was talking to my brother about something, and during lunch, and almost choked on some bit of food. So kind of concerning. Outside of that, in terms of video games, I have been engaging in my traditional post complete a major video game thing of kind of bounding around my game library and seeing what's sticking.
Your vast game library.
And growing faster.
Indeed.
Right now I'm trying out Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon. I don't think this one's too highly rated even among EDF enthusiasts. I know the entire franchise doesn't exactly have the most sterling of production design or reputations or anything like that, but this is the weird one that was made over here, as opposed to Japan. Mm-hmm. And this is also the first EDF game I've ever played. Not the only one I own, but just the one I happen to land. Don't think I like this one. The search may continue soon. Anyway. And yeah, that's about my news. That's fit to print. So, merrily, we shall be rolling to the interview portion of the broadcast. And joining us this week are Sarah and Tiffany from Astral Clockwork Studios.
Hello, Astral Clocktower Studios.
Clocktower.
Everybody always says Clockwork.
It does. That happens literally all the time. It's so funny.
Every time. How are you guys? Thanks for having us.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Glad you could be with us here this week. Right. So how we like to get started is we like to get to know the people behind the studio, the game, and all of that business. And we do this by asking this particular question: what got you interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
Do you want me to go first, Sarah?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So my brother and I, that was kind of like when we were younger. The only time that we didn't fight was when we were playing video games together. So that's kind of where I started. We had a Sega Sega Genesis, I think, was like our first console. So yeah, that kind of got my passion for video games started. I've been playing ever since. And then it's probably my dad that got me into the industry part of it. I went to school where Allie and I met at Southern New Hampshire University. And I graduated there. What was that, like 5 years ago now? I think 6 years ago. 4? 2019. Whatever that is. Oh my God. Especially after a long day. Numbers are so hard. So yeah, my dad, I kind of had a conversation with him. I had been a veterinary technician for like 15 plus years. And then did some like odd jobs to fill it because I kind of got burnt out of the industry. And then having a conversation with my dad, he was just like, you're really creative, and kind of tried to steer me towards like graphic design, which then led me into, well, why don't I just make video games? So yeah, level design is like one of my passions. And it always has been. That's always been my favorite part of the games that I play. Not so much like the layout and stuff like that, and like the level layout creation and stuff like that, but the actual like creating the environment. So yeah, that's my spiel.
I think mine, as far as getting into video games, is probably similar to Tiffany's in that it's something that my sister and I always did together. We had the Super Nintendo first. A lot of Donkey Kong was had on that, I will tell you that much. And then N64 as well, of course, after that. And yeah, just something that we could do together to bond. Also the competitiveness, between siblings, as it were. And then interestingly enough, so for Astral Clocktower Studios, I am our marketing director. So I actually didn't aspire to market within the games industry. I just happened to have a day job with our third partner owner who couldn't make it tonight, Alexis/Allie, you'll hear us refer to her as. But yeah, anyway, so I met her at this day job, and she, like, we became fast friends. Literally after like meeting her like a week later, she said, I'm starting this game studio with my friend Tiffany, who I met at school, and we want marketing to be a core focus of the studio from the beginning. So would you be interested? And it was actually sort of a scary like decision for me to make, to just shift from what I was doing into marketing for games. But I'll tell you what, I'm so glad I said yes. It's so much more fun to market within this industry. You could just be so much like looser and freer with your voice, and just, as we all know, how amazing the community is, and there's just so much support. And so it's actually really fun and really creative. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
Neat. And so I'm assuming this is all of you girls' first foray in the video games industry?
Unless you count, group projects at school. But yeah, yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised how much those actually count for.
Yeah, yeah. Not these ones. The games that we made do not count.
Devs who've got their start in selling their school project. So
yes,
the one that Allie and I did was I wouldn't want to release it. Let's just say that. So.
I mean, trust me, I feel that mood. We have a blood pact between me and the people who made my first quote-unquote game. It sees the light of day, someone's dead.
You're like, no, thank you. I think I still have it somewhere on like my external hard drive. I think I saved it. Why? I don't know. I probably should just delete it. It's embarrassing. It's not good. So
I'm so curious. You probably have heard about it over, the 5 years we've been doing this, but no.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'll see if I can find it. You can play it. It's so bad. It's so bad. Iris could probably beat it. So
for blackmail, I mean, wait, what?
Right?
Yes, that's why I want it. No,
Oh, if I don't have it, I bet you Allie has it. So
I'm sure she does. She's good at saving and backing up everything. Thank goodness. She
I
always
know, right?
our game builds.
Right? Oh, yeah, it's bad.
Like, I kind of lost the train of thought there, but no, I got it. Right. So, pressing forward, I suppose we should get into the Astral Clocktower Studios. It's a bit hard to remember that name. Like, I suppose I should ask where it came from, since, if anything else, it's a bit stark.
Totally. Yeah. Well, so Allie is Allie and Tiffany are our founders, but Allie is our big, like, Souls like fan of the team. We have many folks on the team now who are very skilled in the genre, but just starting out, right? It was the three of us. But there's actually a boss fight in Bloodborne called Lady Maria of the Astral Clocktower. So that is where that is sort of pulled from. And it's always interesting to see the people that like pick up on that and they're like, wait a minute, is this connected to Bloodborne? And so that's where the name came from. Which I will say too, just from like the marketing standpoint, like our email addresses and our website is like astralclocktowerstudios.com, like Sarah at astralclocktowerstudios.
It's so long. It's so long. I copy and paste a lot.
Right. Yeah. Same. So it is a mouthful. So we don't fault anyone getting it wrong the first time.
Yeah. I feel like Souls players know.
Correct.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Soulsborne's, I kind of bounced off of that whole deal. Like, so I wouldn't get the many of their references. Anyway, putting that aside, how big is Astral Clock Tower these days?
How many people do we have now? Like 30?
It's definitely, yeah, it fluctuates. We take in a lot of interns, but it's always right around the 30 team member mark, and that we certainly did not start off that way.
No.
But yeah, quite a decent sized team, I'd say, for like your typical indie studio. But yeah, about 30 of us now.
30 would put you on the larger end, by my estimation. I mean, we get all sorts of sizes here, but 30 is definitely like bigger. Anyway, so I suppose that leads me to what I'm presuming is your first game.
Yep.
Or your first release.
Takedowns, a lot of traversal mechanics. But you're playing as a cat from one of 6 different clans. And there is a heavy emphasis on magic. So whatever, regardless of which weapon type or build or you like choose to play as at the start of the game, magic is always a part of that build. And so your goal is to master, each clan of these cats has a different magic specialty. And so you're embarking on this journey to master all 6 of the magic specialties that are featured in the game. And if you do that, then you join ranks with kind of the world, it's called Ilor, the world of Ilor's most magically skilled warriors. And then simultaneously, you're also trying to eradicate this like mysterious curse that has befallen the world, and it's transformed all the creatures into these like mutated monsters, they're trying to murder you as you go. So there's kind of this twofold goal, if you will, as you play. So if you conquer your quest and figure out the curse and who's behind it, who or what we like to say, then you will be the master of Crystalla.
Yes,
in short,
the Rakasha warrior, or I never
Yeah.
knew how to pronounce that.
Yes, So you're embarking. The journey is called the Rucksaka Proving, and then that is to join up with the Rucksaka Warriors. So yeah, they're like the most magically skilled, governing body on Ilor, and yeah, they're pretty badass.
Right. So with that established, who came up with the idea initially?
So the initial idea was completely different than what Crystalla is today, including the name. Have you seen the anime Fairy Tale?
No.
I
No.
have.
So okay, you know the Exceeds, the cats?
Yep.
That is I love that anime and I love Exceeds. So we were like, let's make like a fun, like really like punny game about like cats earning their wings. That's the game that it was. And it was going to be just like really fun, really like kind of, we bounced out back and forth about, should it be 2D or 3D? And we decided we learned in Unreal during, like in school, we learned Unreal 3D. So we're like, let's do this. And then slowly over time, the three of us would meet and we would come up with the storyline, and it started to change. We got a little bit more serious. And then we were like, you know what? Like this game needs to be like more serious and more like the lore needs to be deeper, and these like punny cat jokes, maybe we'll just set those aside. So yeah, the original idea for the game was completely different. So yeah, we always kind of joke like, oh, Crystalla has a mind of its own and it's grown up. So yeah.
I mean, that sounds like the creative process to me.
yeah,
Totally.
100%. So I mean, we're really proud of like what it's become. The lore is very intricate and very cool. So yeah. I'm glad we talked and created literally an entire world. So
I mean, I suppose that would have had to have been done given the direction you went with. Because, how do I put this? What you're doing isn't, I know this is going to sound weird, but, conventional fantasy. Elves, dwarves, Tolkien, that kind of
Totally.
thing. This is something that's, if nothing else, different. Because you're playing as not just like cat warriors, and not just like say Puss in Boots from Shrek or something like that. Something a bit more serious.
Probably more
Penny,
close to the Khajiit from the Elder Scrolls series.
Yeah, Penny,
but
do
cooler.
What, Adam?
Penny, do we have the footage?
The footage should be playing.
It's
Oh yeah,
not.
I see it. I see it on mine.
Oh, sorry.
I was
Don't know
about
why.
to say, hey, Adam, I think your thing might be broken.
Okay, some reason that needed to be refreshed.
And we did have a small connection issue that seems to
That
have sorted itself out, but I did start a local recording just in case.
good to know. Anyway, so general point is, this. On the one hand, this sticks out as something that's off the beaten path, but on the other hand, this is something that sticks out that's kind of off the beaten path. So, since we got one of the marketing people here, my question to you is, how do you handle that in getting this game across to the outside world?
Sure, definitely. I think it's been a bit of a blessing and a curse, right? Like the blessing is that it does stand out, and I think it gives people pause to say, like, okay, what is this, when they see, a piece of our content or an ad or whatever it is. But then on the other hand, we love the Souls-like community, but a lot of the diehard Souls-like fans can be very like they want what they like, and they don't want to deviate from it, right? So there's been a bit of just like how do we reach that audience, but then how do we also reach out to like this whole other world of gamers? You mentioned the Khajiit and Elder Scrolls. That's a huge audience that totally were like, yes, come on over, check out Kristalla, the Assassin's Creed audience. It's been a bit of a challenge, but the way that we do that is we just try to tailor, try to like hyper target content to these specific audiences, right? Like the Souls-like audience might have a different messaging than like, the Elder Scrolls audience. And just as an example. So it has been, again, a gift and a curse, but for the most part, I think people are really intrigued, whether it's that person that's like, guess cats, I love the cats, I want to check it out, or the person that's like, whoa, that was like a badass aerial takedown, what's this game all about? Or the person that has checked out, the Sagas of Kristalla, our lore series on our website, and they're like, fuck yeah, excuse language, but I love lore and I want more. And so it's kind of nice just to not be in one little box, right? Like we can kind of branch out. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Oh, no doubt. Now, given the subject matter at hand, I do have to ask if you've ever gotten calls to make this game lighter and softer. Since you've got cats going on here, I'd imagine you have people who want to have a game where you can pet them and, stuff that you would do with real life cats. So, has that occurred yet?
Oh, 100%. I think we even see it a lot in like the pitching process, right? Tiff, wasn't there one that like there was a publisher who said, oh, there should be catnip as a healing item, or you can something with like scratching your claws on a tree could
it was like rubbing up against something, like cats do all the time. They were like, well, they're not like cat-like enough, and I'm like, well, yeah. Yes, they are, but not like, it's not like we're throwing it in your face, like, so.
Have you ever dealt with wild cats, homie?
I have, actually. I should know. I know, like, trust me, like, they're feral. They're just feral cats. That's all.
Yeah, a lot of the wilder cats aren't, oh, cuddle, cuddle. They will
Exactly.
rip your face off and not even give a shit.
Have you heard the term murder mittens?
I know a lady. You can go volunteer and work with her for a day. She'll show you the true nature. It's like, I think people, I don't know, like, I almost want to say they don't give cats enough respect.
They're too, I guess, almost blinded by the domesticated cat compared to, even though cats at the zoos are still fairly domesticated almost. Like, an actual cat in the wild wouldn't give a shit about you. They wouldn't want to cuddle. They would think, can I eat you? If not, I do not give a shit that you're alive.
Pretty much. I mean, I feel like that's what my cat is like now. So
I mean, mood, but
yeah, I don't know. I think
No. Like, cats are murder machines.
Mm-hmm. Like, they're one of the most efficient killers on the planet, and I'm not even joking on that.
No, you're not.
Exactly. That was something too that we like there's like, for example, a feline skill leveling tree in the game, right? So like it's not just like cat for cat's sake. I mean, we are all cat lovers. Allie, if she were here, she'd tell. She has like almost like 20 cats just on her own. Now she does,
I was trying to count. I was trying to count today, and I was like, oh shoot, I forgot the babies. It's like, oh god.
But then also one of the weapon types that will be in our EA release is like you have claw enhancements. So like there are things in the game that are like, okay, I'm this like stealthy, agile, like killing machine, and I can level these cool skills. You'll get new traversal skills that'll allow you to do really cool things like wall running, climbing, leaping, tightrope balancing. There's a bunch of and a lot of stealth too. Stealth, if you want, you can play how Crystalla accommodates any play style. But if you want to be stealthy and you want to play like an assassin, like we got you, fam.
Yeah.
Indeed. You're as you said, you're making Assassin's Creed here, or Dark Souls, or something like that, and not Nintendogs plus cats.
Exactly.
Check back on April Fool's Day. I mean, wait, what? Meanwhile, one of these two are writing that down for April.
Literally, as like the marketing goal. That'd be nice. We can prank people.
Dude. Anyway, so this is a question that has come up quite a bit in recent conversation, and that is, what engine are you using to build this game?
We are using Unreal Engine 5. We started on 4, and then we made the big jump to 5. And Tiffany, as a developer, can definitely speak more on that. But
yes, I accidentally muted myself when I was trying to say it, so I was like, so yeah, Unreal 5, and we started Unreal 5 with the game, Unreal 4 at the time, just because that was what Allie and I were familiar with, because that's what our school used. So we were like, okay.
So this is always an Unreal project. It's not something that you thought about with Unity and then...
No.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I was about to say, you dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, so no, it's always been an Unreal game. And I mean, we are happy with it. Unreal has, a lot of good sources, and I don't know if I like them so far, we'll see.
Yeah.
So don't be Unity.
Yeah, but I think they looked at Unity as like, we're not doing that.
You're like, what idiots?
I could not agree. I mean, less with Unreal Engine, more what's going on with Unreal and Epic in general. But
I guess valid, but theoretically the blowback would keep them from trying to pull this crap, at least openly.
There's Bandcamp about it.
Oh, yeah.
So, like I said, that's a conversation for another time. Anyway, getting back to the play style, is that integrated into classes? Like, do you play as fighter, mage, rogue kind of deal, or is it something else going on here?
You want to take this one, Sarah?
Yeah, sure. So there are different builds. It's quality, brawn, and what finesse. So there are different builds that you can select at the beginning, and then also you'll choose your clan at the beginning, which will determine which type of magic you'll be leveling. So there are 2 magic types in the game, Eminence and Malediction, and then the 6 different magic specialties with each of the clans, and 3 of them are Eminence, 3 of them are Malediction. And they're all 6 of them are different. I can go through them if we want, but yeah. So like, there's no like overt, like, oh, I'm playing as a rogue, or oh, I'm playing. You're not selecting that at the beginning, but you'll see as you select your different. Then you also choose your weapon types. Which in the EA you'll be able to play with a sword and shield, a great sword, or those claw enhancements I was mentioning. But the magic specialties, so we have a nature magic clan, a necromancy clan with like a spirit-based magic, an ice magic clan, a fire magic clan, a light/electricity magic clan, and then the last one is like a psychic magic. We kind of refer to them as like Ilor's Jedis, if you will. So there's a lot of different opportunity for like replayability there, which was something we definitely wanted to like make part of the game, obviously, when we were kind of planning it out. But yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like different builds and all that. Speaking of such things, now your player character. I'm assuming this is a buildable avatar deal.
Yeah, so initially, it was just like, okay, so if you want to play as the Nature Magic Clan, for example, your character would look a certain way as far as like what type of cat it resembled. You know, the fur color, the fur length, your eye color, that kind of thing. But we recently ran a successful Kickstarter, and one of the stretch goals that like our backers were super duper excited about was the cat character customizer. So now you'll be able to, look sort of however you want as far as those things, the fur markings, fur length, the color and all of that stuff. You'll be able to create that yourself, more of like an avatar. I'm not sure yet if we're going to be doing just like different skins that are already like preloaded, or I've heard chatter recently about sliders, using like a slider based customizer, which would be super duper cool.
Stay tuned.
So yeah. Sorry, what'd you say, Tiff?
I said stay tuned.
Right, yeah. I just recently saw chatter about that. I got really excited.
And I suppose that gets into other customization options, like can you select the type of fur your kitty warrior has?
Correct. Yes. Yep. And you'll also be able to add things like jewelry or like scars or piercings, like maybe even tattoos. We have like a hairless, we'll have a few different like hairless cat breeds that you can choose to play as if you want. I mean, the goal is to be like, especially marketing wise, like play as your cat. Like, what does your cat look like? You can play as your cat in Crystal. So that's the ultimate goal. Yeah. I just want. I was I was thinking the other day. I said I just kind of want to be able to play as like a chubby warrior.
Oh my gosh! Just yes, just like that's Jackson.
Yeah. Like here comes big fat, Oreo, slaying all the enemies. I just think it'd be so funny.
Doing flips. Oh yeah.
And now that will all, we eventually want to get to that, but obviously that would, like, we have the characters, body types modeled, so that would take, extra time to model, a character that is brawny or thicker or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we'll eventually get there, but yeah, that probably won't be in early access, but we're aiming for, maybe in like a full version of the game for it to be, even more comprehensive of a customizer.
She could really look like your cat.
Yes. People are going to want it.
Oh yeah, I want it.
Same.
The understanding the needs of the audience. So, on the flip side of things,
yes,
this is true, but that's like one of the most predictable things you could have. Like,
that is true.
Like, of course, people are going to want to play as their pets. I mean, ask Stray about it.
Oh yeah.
The robotic cat simulator. People modded that to have their pet represented in that. So it's like, if
it all makes sense.
Yeah. My point is, if you don't have that option here, people will build it into your game. Like, they will find a way to put their kitty into this. I guarantee. Anyway, so flipping the script on things. What are you fighting in this world who are your enemies?
So at first, you're not sure, and I feel like that's part of it, right? Is going through and getting the clues and gathering these clues as to like what exactly is going on. I don't want to give all of it away. But I will say your, what will we call them? Not so friendly neighbors, the Kodakayan, which are the rat species, all like rodents to be more broad. They've got their own thing going on, and so it has to do with like the crystals. And I don't want to give it all away, but but yeah, like they're like an easy one to point the finger at, if you will. But you know, as you're going on, you'll figure out what exactly is going on. And so you end up fighting some of the Kodakayans. But there's also like a lot of like mutated beasts and creatures. Yeah, we have quite a few of them on social media. So if anybody wants to see like pictures, Sarah is awesome about that, and put some really cool screenshots of them up there. So, but yeah, there's what I don't know what you've released yet, so like I don't want to like give anything away. Trying to like watch my mouth so I don't give spoilers.
No, you're doing good. Yeah, all of the creatures that aren't the like rodents are like the ones that are sort of under this curse that
Yes.
I was mentioning earlier. So they wouldn't typically be attacking you, but as you embark on your Roksaka proving in the game, you start to realize like something is weird. Like why are there Kotakayan soldiers in clan territory? Because that's something that story-wise shouldn't be happening. And then also, yeah, like why are these creatures that, you know, are typically peaceful, docile creatures now trying to like kill me? Mm-hmm. So, and then we also have like these, you know, you'll have all your like typical mini bosses and major bosses and whatnot, but we also have these like unique bosses at the end of each like clan level. Mm-hmm. And they're called Shard Guardians, and they're intended to be part of this proving that you're on. But they're basically these like, I don't know if you've ever played God of War, but they're kind of like the Valkyries. Mm-hmm, like they're intended to like test your magic skills. And so like if you can beat a clan's Shard Guardian, that means you've like mastered that clan's magic, if that makes sense.
You can move on. So
correct.
You got an A on the test. You can now dance.
Yeah, the Guardians are cool. That was one thing we were like, okay, how do we like depict these? Because they like we thought it'd be cool if it was like almost as if you're battling yourself, but it's really like the magic of the crystal that you're battling. So we think that they're gonna sort of look like the player character, but in like a, you know, totally different texturing and like looking all like crystally, like a crystal being almost. They're gonna be cool. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about
them. And I suppose I have to ask this because, you know, it always comes up when, you know, cats are mentioned, but are there going to be any dogs in this in any capacity?
Yes. Sorry, my daughter just came by. We just got the Kickstarter tier for Noble Steeds. So dogs, you can ride them like horses. Because we think it's kind of funny. So I have a Pomeranian Chihuahua mix, and she's like all hair, and that is all I can picture every time we talk about these, is just her running and just her hair flowing in the wind, and just someone grabbed on to this long hair hauling ass over. Yeah. So, yeah.
Like, I was wondering about that, if you were going to have any rideable animals.
Definitely. Yeah, we were really stoked to hit that stretch goal. And then we also hit one that now you can get like rescue familiars that'll help you, get like, hidden pickups or seek out new NPC interactions or like hidden, pathways or whatnot. But the familiars and the canine steeds were definitely like, as the campaign was coming to an end and we, kept, thankfully, we're so very lucky and grateful to have had a successful campaign. But those were the two stretch goals that I was like, please, 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 we have to hit these.
Same.
And yeah, our awesome backers delivered. So if any of you are listening, thank you so much. We so appreciate it.
Seriously, thank you. Yeah.
Indeed. Anyway, so yeah, you've mentioned it a few times at this point, but this game was the recent subject of a successful Kickstarter. I suppose I would ask, what was the intent of said Kickstarter?
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, to raise money. I mean, we've been, pitching, I don't know for how long, maybe like since 2019.
Something like that. I don't even know.
Yeah. And like we are fully aware that we aimed, like as Crystalla grew up and evolved, like we realized we're aiming pretty high for like a new studio without prior titles under its belt. So we have had a lot of publishers that we've spoken to. We've had a lot that were interested, but we haven't gotten that magic, deal yet. So, obviously we wanted to raise money to be able to create the best version of Crystalla that we can. So, I mean, that was the primary motivator for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes those two work hand in hand.
Yes.
It's good to know. And how much did you ultimately raise?
We got almost 111,000. So it was like, I think, midway between 110 and 111,000, which I can't even tell. Like, we were hoping that it would be successful, but midway through, we were sort of hovering at like 45,000. And then we had like two incredible people donate like a significant amount. We have our highest tier is called the executive producer tier, and if you backed at that level, you get to help us with like 3 design based rewards, or like dev based, if you will. So like if you want to design a mini boss, you can. If you want to design a weapon and its special ability, you can. If you want to design a quest giving NPC with us, you can. So you could pick three of these things that you want to do. But anyway, it was like a significantly priced tier. And we had 2 people, I think, within like a week back at that level, like towards the tail end of the campaign. And it just set off this like hype train that was incredible to watch happen. I mean, I don't want to say this in the wrong way because I'm a marketing gal, but I didn't think that we would reach 100K. So it was just really amazing for just to see the love and support that we were getting from the community. I mean, it was just incredible.
It was an amazing feeling, and I know like our team was like so excited about it. So it was nice to see them be able to like celebrate it, and like, oh, all of our hard work is like, people think this game is cool. So it was awesome. It was really freaking cool.
I think too, that was like a piece that we've since had more conversations with publishers, and that was like sort of a piece that we were missing in our pitch, was like, here is the absolute like proof from the community that like people want this game. I mean, we can tell you as we're pitching that people want it, but to actually have that to show, along with wish list jumping, social followers and counts jumping. I mean, it all kind of works together in like this braided, weaved beast. And it was really cool. It's been very helpful for us.
Indeed. And what is the current state of the game in terms of development? Like how complete is it, and how much more is left to go?
This depends on the scope that we want. Our ultimate game, we still have quite a ways to go on that. We've got for the Nasargan clan, we've got most of that. I mean, the area is done, and so now we're just working on polishing up mechanics and some programming things, switching out a couple of models that we have that were just stand-ins. So yeah, right now, gosh, dev-wise, maybe a quarter of the ultimate scope, I would say, which is quite hefty. I'm not gonna lie. The ultimate game for us would be really freaking sweet. So yeah, I'd probably say a quarter. I think that's accurate, Sarah.
Yeah. And again, you had mentioned scopes, the way that we, I think, have planned out the game, right? So each clan, so we like to say there's compact and open level areas where you're guided through the game, but then you also have some autonomy the way you can go through it. But as you experience each clan level, the levels are set out in a certain order, right? So Tiffany had mentioned the Nasarga clan. That's the first clan that you will encounter, regardless of which clan you play as. You'll always encounter their level first. But yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but I remember now. So there's a version of Crystalla, right, where it's released with maybe only 4 clans at first, and the other 2 are DLC, or it's released at that ultimate scope with all 6. It's just going to kind of be dependent on a few different factors, but it's looking for sure that we're going to be doing early access right first before full game. So as far as that goes, the longer we can prolong it, the more that will be included. There's still a couple factors behind the scenes that might affect when that early access release drops, but it will definitely be next year for sure.
Okay. And have you sorted out pricing for, or early access pricing for Crystalla here?
I don't think so. I don't think we've totally landed, because it will sort of be dependent on how chunky it is, what all actually gets included. I think we've tossed around a $20, a $19.99 kind of a thing, but that might change. I don't want to be quoted on that. That might change.
It depends on how much we can get out, right? So
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. How much gameplay we can actually provide,
Yes, I see that a lot in early access. And is this, putting aside the early access period, are you looking to bring this game to consoles?
Definitely. Yeah. Yep. That was one thing that we were able to bring into as part of the Kickstarter campaign. We had consoles announced during that. We weren't sure about the Switch, but that got unlocked as one of our goals. Now, and also we were able to sign on with an amazing company, Premium Edition Games, for a physical release of Crystalla on the PS5. So we are really excited about that. It will, anyone who backed during the Kickstarter or pre-orders via our Backer Kit store will be able to get the physical PS5 copy if they want. But it has exclusive cover art you won't be able to get anywhere else, like a steelbook case. It comes with like a physical copy of the soundtrack, full color game manual. And what else? Oh, like a special challenge card. Like if you platinum the game, you'll get like this physical patch, like a Crystalla themed patch. So we're really psyched about that. But obviously, those console releases, and it will be coming. I should say it will be coming to Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 5, like I mentioned, and then of course the Switch. So, but we're not sure like when those ports will obviously come after the Steam PC release. So.
That makes sense. I think that's all my questions. What about you guys?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think you've asked everything I thought of.
Okay. All right.
Right
All right. So, I want to thank you both for being with us here tonight and sharing your game with us. It's been very illuminating, and I look forward to seeing how things progress. And maybe we'll have you on the program when the game is in like early access or something. And if you enjoyed tonight's interview, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified in the future when we go live. Anyway, the game is Crystalla. It doesn't have a Steam page yet.
It does, yes. And we are actually about to participate in the upcoming Next Fest. So it kicks off October 9th. It runs through the 16th. So you can download our free demo there. Please add us to your wish list. It'll help us tremendously with exposure, specifically during Next Fest. We'll be doing 2 live streams as part of the official event schedule. We're also currently running a photo mode contest in our Discord. So in the demo, as you play in the menu, there's a photo mode. So you can take some badass pictures if you'd like and submit them, and you could win. One of our animators who also does some beautiful graphic design work is going to design the winner themselves or their cat, if they have one, into a Crystalla character, and it'll be printed on like a sticker, and we'll send it to the winner. So that is also running through Next Fest. That is a very long-winded answer to your question, but yes, we do have a Steam page.
All right. Anyway, I suppose in short, they have a Steam page. Go check it out and wish list today. Anyway, Petty, play us to the next segment. All right. It's been a while, but here we are with the topic of discussion. We've actually had this on the back burner for a few weeks. We were originally going to talk about the Nintendo Direct that happened a few weeks ago. Obviously, too much time has passed for us to delve into the freshness of that. But one of the things that was shown off and released at said Nintendo Direct was the Battle Royale F-Zero 99, the latest in Nintendo's 99 series. And I wanted to focus on this because it is the first F-Zero title we have got since it actually depends on the region. I think North America, like Europe, the West got, I want to say F-Zero GP Legend. And Japan got like F-Zero GP Climax. I could be mixing those around. When it comes to the Game Boy Advance versions of the F-Zero games, it gets a bit blurry there. Mm-hmm. My point is, it's been about 20 years since we've had an F-Zero title. I'm like, so as you can imagine, or if you can't, F-Zero 99 has sparked a healthy amount of debate and indeed rage among the F-Zero enthusiasts.
On one hand, it's a new F-Zero game, which some people are very excited about. On the other hand, it uses mostly the aesthetics of the Super NES game, which some people are extremely disappointed about.
Yes.
Also, it doesn't have a story, really.
That is true. And yeah, I think in terms of like what's being represented on the screen here, it's mostly from F-Zero on the Super Nintendo, which only had about like 4 racers. Like,
I want to say it was 8, but you
no,
might
it
not
was
have been able
4.
to play as all of those.
It was 4 racers, and then they had the dummy cars.
Okay.
It's mostly represented, but they did add the spin maneuver from F-Zero X, which was interesting. But yeah, it's been controversial in that sense. Also because it's not a traditional F-Zero experience. It's been formatted into a battle royale affair. And of course, there's always the contingent of people who are upset that, it's not F-Zero GX again. That's, ironically, that's literally what these people want. They would actually be content with a modern remastering of GX. I'm like, and honestly, I think GX has been part of the problem with F-Zero for, about 20 years. I'm like, not
Probably.
just because F-Zero GX sold like shit. That's certainly part of it. But F-Zero GX always came across to me as a game that was... This is going to sound weird at first, but I'll explain. It's a game that's too good. Now, you might be wondering, how can a game be too good? And here's the answer to that. And I've seen this come up in interviews. I'm like, see, when you've reached the end point of a series, that means they don't have ideas for it. And
if you execute what you're doing well enough, you have to either come up with something new, or just recycle the same idea forever with very minimal upgrades, which is not really Nintendo's style generally.
Yeah, and I think Miyamoto, if not him, one of the higher ups at Nintendo had flat out stated they don't really have any new ideas for F-Zero. And that's a problem because that's intersecting with the core sales figures of like F-Zero GX, and I'm presuming like the Game Boy Advance F-Zeros, at least the last ones that came out. Point is, nobody's thinking of new ideas for F-Zero, at least not at Nintendo. And from what's also been gathered, there's no great advocate for the series at Nintendo. How did we get a Pikmin 4 game? Well, here's the thing. Miyamoto really likes that series, and he has got enough clout to ensure that, we get another Pikmin game. Not all the time, but, Pikmin is not a series I would have pictured having 4 entries. Although, I will say that it helped that they, released a new mainline Pikmin game on a successful console.
Yeah.
It's like I don't forget that Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, Pikmin 3 debuted on Nintendo's literal worst-selling hardware. If you don't count the Virtual Boy. And most people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so putting that aside, as it turns out,
They wanted to release Pikmin on the Virtual Boy, but they could only put in red Pikmin, so...
I'm like,
Ooh.
that would have been
I'm
awesome.
kidding.
Yeah. Pikmin as a concept didn't happen until the turn of the century. Excuse me. Anyway, so we don't know too much about the development of F-Zero 99 at this point, or at least I haven't seen much dug up on it. So we don't know why exactly Nintendo decided to infuse their battle royale sensibilities into this genre, or who pushed for it outside of the developer, because I haven't seen this widely reported. I had to look it up on Wikipedia, but this is actually coming from the Nintendo Software Technology Corporation, who we've talked about on this program previously. You don't remember that, or if you didn't tune in for that, long story short, they are Nintendo's North American development branch that isn't Retro Studios. Primarily, they make the Mario versus Donkey Kong game. And yes, they are making the new remake as well. But it turns out, they had been working on this game for at least a year. I saw in a forum posting. And it's also worth noting, this is a live service type affair, in that it's still getting updates as we speak. Because I think they are either about to or have recently released the Queen Cup.
I think they literally were just
Like,
down for maintenance while the show was going.
Petty, did you see a Queen's Cup in there?
I will look again after I get done with this race, because I forgot to
Petty?
look.
Oh.
I've been here. I just forgot to switch over audio.
Okay. Yeah. Thought I dropped there for a second.
No, something I mentioned. The game was actually just down for maintenance a little bit ago.
Yeah,
so they may have added it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's coming soon, and presumably they will add at least the King's Cup. No idea if they're going to have like the Joker's Cup or the X Cup or anything of that nature. But I know one of the principal complaints about F-Zero 99 has been the lack of content. Well, here's the thing. Isn't that a lot of games these days? It's the Splatoon model, just in battle royal form. So that problem is being addressed gradually. And as far as let's call them F-Zero purists, I get why they're upset, because it has been a very, very long time since F-Zero has had a proper entry. But on the other hand, it has been a very, very long time since F-Zero had any entry. Now, I will also say, yes, you should not accept table scraps. That doesn't work when, like, either the concept is shit, or going back to Federation Force. I mean, that wasn't necessarily bad, but it was like literally nobody wanted that out of a Metroid title at that particular moment in time. Like, the thing is, the Battle Royale 99 formula, if you can call it that, works well with the chaos and speed of F-Zero. Hell, I would argue. No, I'll grant I haven't actually played the game because I don't have a Switch, but you know, that this is the best Nintendo Battle Royale game since Tetris 99.
I like Tetris 99 more personally, but that's just because I wasn't a huge fan of F-Zero gameplay, but that's just me.
I know. I'm not saying it's better than Tetris 99. I'm saying it's on par with that, as opposed to Mario 35.
Yeah, or I guess
just
Pac-Man 99, which is now dead, so...
Yeah. And unlike Mario 35, Pac-Man 99 seemed to die of its own accord. You know, it's
so here's the thing that's a little weird about this to me, is that it always seemed to me that F-Zero was a little bit heavier on the character personality thing of the various pilots and stuff. Whereas in this, like every pilot had a distinct design, and every vehicle had a pretty distinct design, minus the dummy cars. And here there are relatively few, and you're just minorly tweaking them and playing as yourself, I guess.
Yeah, if I had to guess, like the actual player characters are the 4 original F-Zero pilots, drivers. I forget if they, if they use terminology of that sort. But Blue Falcon, Captain Falcon, Samurai Gork, Pico, and like Dr. Stewart, the guy of the gold card that I can never fucking remember. He's just like generic everyman. But he's like a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the 4, and that's presumably who you're playing as. In terms of the actual vehicles, it wasn't until F-Zero X that they really went all in on the character of F-Zero. 30 vehicles, all piloted by an individual personage. It's a very Nintendo thing to do, as opposed to Wipeout, for example, where it was much more about the sponsors and teams you are on. In the story of Wipeout, you are playing. It's less about the racer and more about the team and the megacorp that sponsors it, because it's a futuristic dystopian racer. Because of course it is. Like, anyway, that being said, I am hoping that F-Zero 99 does garner some sort of new spark into F-Zero, where we can get some sort of new proper F-Zero release.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the very least, you don't have to actually invest any additional money into the game. If you have NSO, you have this.
Yep.
So it's no additional investments. And like I said, F-Zero meshes well because it's a very fast, it's a racing game. And racing games have been, known for multiplayer since,
Time
like the
Memoria?
early days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And F-Zero is specifically about extremely high-speed science fiction racing.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's a bit too much chaos for like people who can actually master F-Zero games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine it can get difficult to make up certain amounts of stuff when there are clumps.
Yeah.
Although it looks like they do occasionally remove people from the race when they're not doing well enough.
Yeah.
And that's also why they made up the upstairs bypass thing.
Yeah. I will say, yeah, this also has some genuine new ideas to it. Maybe not many at this point in time, but it's still it's not a 100% retread of F-Zero on the SNES, but Battle Royale. Um, Now, as far as if we're ever going to get like a remastering of GX, maybe, but that might be a bit difficult. See, the thing is, F-Zero GX wasn't made by Nintendo. That was made by a third party.
I
That was
believe it
made
was
by
a joint venture between Nintendo, Sega, and Bandai Namco, if I remember correctly.
yeah. Sega made the GameCube version, WoW
Yeah.
Entertainment. Bandai, or at that point, Namco made the F-Zero AX game. The one that nobody remembers. I'm honestly not sure if F-Zero AX ever came out in North America or Europe. I would not be surprised if it didn't.
If it was,
But
it was arcade only, and
well,
like
yeah, it was
very
arcade.
few arcades. Like,
Yeah,
I
like
almost wonder if it was like one of those like special like for various arcade chains. Like it might have been like a David Buster exclusive thing or whatever.
yeah, I know that happened with at least the second Mario Kart GP.
Yeah.
In fact, like I remember seeing an advertisement on television about, "Hey, we have Mario Kart for the arcade, exclusive to Dave and Buster's."
Mm-hmm.
Like, very possible. Like,
Yeah, this would either be like a Dave and Buster, like a Chuck E. Cheese exclusive thing back when that was, relevant.
definitely be more Dave and Buster
For
because,
F-Zero, I'm not sure.
well, here's the thing: like F-Zero is always skewed more mature than a lot of
Valid.
than say Mario Kart. Not just in terms of aesthetics. I know they've tried to market it for children, like F-Zero GP Legend had an anime series and everything attached to it. But here's the thing: F-Zero games are really fucking difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're renowned for their difficulty, and GX is like the most difficult of them. And and at the same point, are people going, "Why did this game sell like shit?" Like, because this game is tooth grindingly hard. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like well beyond what a casual audience is willing to tolerate. And also because futuristic racing is at best niche and kind of racer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put it to you this way: it doesn't have the global populist appeal of a Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And I guess that's actually another thing, is that a lot of the stuff that you might consider doing in F-Zero, if they wanted to make a new one, has been somewhat devalued by some of the stuff they've been doing in the more recent Mario Kart games, like
Right.
the zero gravity stuff in Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
And gliding and underwater segments are things that theoretically you could have said, and in this secret futuristic race, we have the new technology of making our carts fly making our carts go with no regard to gravity, and go over air gaps and through the water. And then the people who are hearing this ad pitch look over to the left and see the Mario team doing this in go-karts.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, like Nintendo could probably afford to experiment here. Like, that is definitely a critique I've seen about Nintendo Switch era Nintendo. Like, even for Nintendo, they're hemming on the conservative side.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I could see that. But anyway, right. So I think that'll about do it for F-Zero here for the time being. And indeed, this will draw to a close this episode of Fragments of Silicon. Once again, special thanks to our guests for being with us here today. And yeah, we'll see about early access. I mean, it's kind of on them when they figure it out and let us know. You can have them back on the program. But regardless, coming up on the week ahead. Right. So on Friday, no morning show, and but at long last, it is my grand pleasure to announce that we will be finally engaging in the Fragments of Silicon multiplayer mayhem of Quake 2. Like, we've been trying to do this for at least a month.
I have special eyes, okay?
I know. It's nothing that could be helped. I'm just glad we can finally get it off the docket.
Knowing our luck, the fucking crossplay is broken, and then we can't do it, actually.
Anyway, and coming up on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of From Madness with Love, The Land of Glass, So Much Stuff Collector's Edition, and of course, Quake 2. So look for that. And until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.